Welcome back to Wealth Geniuses. This is Nate, and today we are going to go through the tariff update with Trump and Mark Carney, and then we'll also be covering DAVIDsTEA founder David Segal for Wealth Geniuses. So let's get started with the news quick. So Canada vows dollar for dollar tariff retaliation, suspends trade talks with U.S. and the United States. Yep, okay. So a last-ditch effort to reach a new trade deal before midnight. Tariff deadline failed Friday as Prime Minister Mark Carney suspends talks with the United States and summoned his negotiators back to Ottawa. The decision meant new 50% tariffs on billions of dollars in Canadian exports to the U.S. took effect at 12:01 a.m. and Carney vowed Canada would retaliate with equal measures of its own. So this published on yesterday, August 22nd, and it took effect at 12:01 a.m. yesterday. In recent weeks, we made important progress towards improving Canada's position as having the best deal in the world with the U.S., Carney said in a statement just before Trump's tariff deadline. However, that progress has not been enough to meet our objectives for Canadians. Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and Chief Negotiator Janice Charette have been in Washington for nearly 2 straight weeks trying to get to a deal, including the multiple hours of talks with Greer on Friday. They have worked hard in good faith to defend the interests of Canadians throughout these negotiations up until the very last minute, said Carney. However, last-minute changes in the U.S. proposed terms were unfair, uneconomic, and called into question the reliability of any deal. The new U.S. tariff targets $28 billion in Canadian goods, ranging from hockey sticks, I don't know why, and honey to essential oils and dairy products. So they're pretty much taxing everything crossing that border. Details of what goods Canada will tariff in response are not yet available. So we don't know how Canada is going to respond to the tariffs that they're going to impose on American goods. So stay tuned on that. And Carney also said the government will introduce measures to support Canadian workers and businesses in the coming days. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said Friday that the U.S. and Canada had declined to finalize a tentative agreement and laid the blame entirely on Canada. So the U.S. is blaming Canada as to why the tariffs are coming in. And despite the U.S. offer to Canada to receive the best treatment of any major exporters to our market, new demands and walkbacks of other commitments by Canada have upended the careful balance reached in the past days, said Greer. In addition, Canada is continuing to maintain its prolonged retaliation against the United States, including, among other things, flat-out prohibitions on certain American goods and services. Greer told reporters the failed deal represented a missed opportunity, noting that U.S. was offering significant tariff reduction on steel, aluminum, autos, and lumber in exchange for concessions from Canada. He said the deal also included an economic and national security partnership, as well as the announcement of a formal U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement negotiations. The Trump administration did not extend CUSMA in July. That triggered an annual rolling. All right, so looking at this, just to simplify everything that's going on. So pretty much Canada and the States, or Trump and Carney, are arguing about taxes on goods across the border, of course, and of course those taxes are called tariffs, and there's going to be a 50% tariff implied or imposed by Trump on certain American or Canadian goods. Now, why this matters is because the products will become more expensive. Businesses will sell fewer goods because of the price being higher. Americans might say, you know what, I might as well buy locally or elsewhere if the price that I'm buying certain goods from Canada are 50% higher. And then there could be workers that could face layoffs, because if you're not meeting profit margins as a business, then you don't have enough to really, you have to look at your bottom line and see, okay, can I pay these employers to stick around? because I'm not making money or I'm taking a hit. If you have a certain threshold you have to make as a business and you're not meeting that, and now paying your employees is eating at your profit margins, then that's a terrible recipe for business. So some companies may have to lay off a few folks to make sure to absorb that 50%. Stock prices will move up and down with this tariff. You'll probably see the stocks going up and down, and then that'll of course cause nervousness and uncertainty within the market as well. And it's going to be opposed on 28 billion worth of Canadian exports. So what a smart investor would do, I would say, just some notes that I took, is make sure you don't have all your eggs into one basket. Diversify your portfolio. So you might want to have, of course, some Canadian stocks, but some US stocks, some overseas stocks, so that as the volatility is happening, you want to make sure that your portfolio is not hit that drastic because of this tax being imposed with the tariffs. I don't know how long it's going to be. Trump has been flip-flopping, so we'll see if he'll change his mind. But I thought that oil line was going to be, that was shut down by Biden, was the negotiating tactics. I don't know what happened with that, but looks like tariffs are in place, so we'll see how that goes. But this, falls on Mark Carney's regime. I don't think there's much he could do. They say what he's asking for in terms of Trump is unreasonable. So we'll keep an eye on that and follow what I know Mark Carney addressed, that he's going to go dollar for dollar. So we'll see what comes of that. But right now, for wealth geniuses, especially small business owners that have relationships in the States or sell goods to the States, this is going to impact their business. So hopefully we don't see a lot of businesses defunct because of it or closed down. But the tariffs does hurt the economy in Canada here. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Seems that is the greatest or latest and greatest when it comes to the news. So today, moving on, we're going to cover David Segal. So those who don't know David Segal, there is a brand called DAVIDsTEA. If you don't know, you might know the label. Let's look that up. DAVIDsTEA. So you might know this brand here. This is their website. And this is, looks like it's loading up. So DAVIDsTEA. And this is the founder, David Segal. So how fitting. DAVIDsTEA was started by David Segal. I believe it was with his cousin who owns Le Chateau, which is a company in Canada, and then now his sister runs it. So let's find out some information on David. So he's a Canadian serial entrepreneur, best known as the co-founder of DAVIDsTEA, a major specialty tea retailer. He's also recognized for founding the healthy, fast casual Mad Radish, never heard of that, and co-founding the organic tea brand Fire Belly Tea, haven't heard of that one either. Co-founded in 2008 in Toronto, he helped scale the brand into a massive retail chain across North America before it went public on the NASDAQ in 2015. Mad Radish, another company, founded a fast casual healthy eatery chain focused on nutritious and accessible local meals. And Fire Belly Tea launched in modern organic loose leaf tea. So he did another tea brand called Fire Belly. Let's see if this guy has a wiki to get some of his background. There's a different David Segal, but that's not the guy we're looking for. Canadian specialty tea based in Montreal, Quebec. It's the largest Canadian-based specialty boutique in the country. David Segal and Herschel Segal, that's the cousin. In 2008, David Segal and his cousin Herschel Segal founded DAVIDsTEA headquarters in Montreal, but opened his first store in Queen Street in Toronto. Let's see, opening. So they have 50 stores. Waterloo in that November opened its first store outside, and they have a store in New York. He was featured on Oprah. Okay, so let's check the IPO. The company conducted an initial public offering in the United States on June 5th, 2015, trading on the NASDAQ under stock ticker DT. The company reported a $93.2 million net loss in the first quarter of 2015. Wow. Holding responsible the cost of being publicly traded, weakening Canadian dollar, and higher supply chain costs. In September 2015, the company reported another quarterly loss of $52.2 million. Damn. The company reported that it opened 39 stores over the previous financial year. In March 2016, the company reported in a filing to the United States Security Exchange Commission that co-founder David Segal has resigned as the brand ambassador of the company. April 2016, the company received letters from the Attorney General of the 9 American states, including Eric Schneiderman of New York, asking for information about requiring employees to call before a shift to find out if they are required to work. Wow, so employees have to call in to see if they can come in. Okay. October 2nd or October 2016, CEO Sylvain Toutant announced that he would be quitting in January. On December 8th, Christine Bullen, the managing director for U.S. markets, was named interim president and CEO. Okay, so they moved through some CEOs. I thought his sister, I read somewhere, was taking over. He appointed Joel Silver as president and chief executive officer. June 27th, the company announced that CFO Louis Bourgeon would depart after 5 years at the company. 2017, the company reported that it had lost $5.6 million. This company's been losing a lot of money. The company's struggling expansion into the United States was criticized by former chairman Pierre Michaud, who said that the constant changes in strategy had led to the departures of senior executives and a loss in investments. Joel Silver reported that the company hadn't understood the preference of U.S. customers for iced tea over hot brews and their sweeter palate compared to Canadian consumers. In June 14, 2018, Silver resigned as chief executive after the company's shareholders voted to elect a new group of directors backed by founder Herschel Segal to the board. Shareholder TDM Asset Management criticized Herschel Segal's erratic behavior and his inability to lead employees and his track record with struggling clothing retailer Le Chateau, and reduced its stake from 12.2% stake to 1.6% for US $9.38 billion. In August 2018, DAVIDsTEA announced plans to sell tea bags of their best-selling blends at Loblaw. In June 2020, DAVIDsTEA announced that it has not paid rent at any of its stores' locations for 3 months, as all its stores had been closed since March 17 due to COVID. It also indicated that it may pursue a formal restructuring. The company announced on July 8th that it was filing for bankruptcy protection from its creditors in Canada to continue operations while it's restructured, and planned to close down a significant number of stores by that date. Company had obtained, it's just bad news after bad news here. In April 2023, okay, let's keep reading actually, let's not skip this. Okay, they filed for bankruptcy, had obtained Chapter 15 title, United States Code Court Protection for Creditors in the U.S. The next day it was announced that 82 locations in Canada and all 42 locations in the United States would close, while more favorable leases were sought for the remaining 100 stores, with more to potentially closing depending on the outcome of these talks with landlords. By September, they had reduced the number of retail locations to 18 of 240 locations, and had a start of 2020. It permanently closed all 42 U.S. stores and 166 stores in Canada. It announced that it would focus on e-commerce and wholesale business. In April 2023, DAVIDsTEA voluntarily delisted its common shares from NASDAQ Global Market and began trading. This guy's name is on this while it's happening. I don't know. Like, even though he left, when did he leave? Canadian IPO. Okay, Canadian dollar. The co-founder. So he left in 2016. 4 years later, still says DAVIDsTEA on his on the brand. They haven't changed the name. So when he's going into meetings, does he really say, "Hey, I'm the guy who started DAVIDsTEA, and now it's going under. We keep closing locations." So I think for a branding, that might hurt his name because it's named after him. It's not Herschel's tea, it's DAVIDsTEA. So that sucks. By September, they had reduced it. Okay, so they closed a bunch of stores. They want to go e-commerce and wholesale. April 2023, DAVIDsTEA voluntarily delisted its common shares from the NASDAQ. So they delisted their shares of NASDAQ and began trading under TSX Venture Exchange in Canada. In January 2024, Sarah Segal said that she was focusing on turning around the business instead of entertaining offers for sale. So instead of selling the business, she wanted to turn the business around. On May 10th, 2025, the company reported that founder Herschel Segal had died. Oh, damn. 5 days ago. The announcement also reported that Rainy Day Investment, Segal's investment company and the largest shareholder of DAVIDsTEA, would remain committed to the company. Okay, so Herschel's passed away. I did not know that. In August 2025, New York-based lawyer Philip Segal, Herschel's son from his first marriage, called for a change of management at the company in a blog post describing epic value destruction and abysmal corporate governance and management by his half-sister, Sarah Segal. So Herschel is David's cousin. Okay. So it looks like Sarah is his cousin, not his sister. Or second cousin. I guess if your cousin has a kid, that's a cousin, whatever. And Segal's widow, Jane Silverstone Segal, who had been chair of the company since 2021. September 2025, the company reported 1.6 million loss in the second quarter due to declining. So it's just losing. I haven't seen any profit, so it looks like a failing company. It's still around. I think I don't see the store branding as much, but as you can see, they're focusing on e-commerce and wholesale. But yeah, it's not good, David, man. So let's go on his Instagram, see what's the latest and greatest happening with Mr. David Segal, the Tea Maverick. So now he's president of Highbeam. So I did some research on this company. Highbeam is like a online banking platform for fully focusing on businesses, and he's the president. He's not the founder. He's not the owner. I know he has the Big Shot show where they interview him and Harley Finkelstein, which is this guy right here. They just moved away from him, but this guy right here, he is either CEO or president of Shopify. So they have a show where they talk to entrepreneurs and business owners and things like that. So he has that, and then he has the Highbeam Bank, which we can look into. But not much. The last post he did was from his show in July, Every Great Business. So, of course, Segal being Jewish, they look at Jewish entrepreneurs as well. But when it comes to Highbeam, okay, so it's like a business banking platform. All these guys are entrepreneurs that are scrolling across. You've always believed. So I'd be interested to see what the rates are for Highbeam versus, and it's headquartered in New York. So I believe it's a U.S. company. They have 200 plus 1 billion in transaction volumes. Typical brand using Highbeam makes over 5 million in annual sales. This is the co-founder. And David is nowhere on this. So he took a step back. Instead of being an owner, he's now president of Highbeam. Let's see if there's anything else with David Segal High Beam. Yeah, it looks like his LinkedIn shows him as David Segal, previously the David of DAVIDsTEA. He went to McGill, which is in Montreal, and he's based in Toronto. And this is looks like after DAVIDsTEA, he opened up Mad Radish, Firebelly Tea, President. So when it comes to I wonder what his net worth is. I don't know if they're gonna David Segal net worth. So they say 8 billion. Take that with a grain of salt. We don't know if that's 100%. Quantitative hedge funds for 2 Sigma investments. Okay, this is the different David Segal, so we can't rely on that. And I spelled, or they auto corrected his name. Let's go to David Segal. And there's an A at the end, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. His net worth has historically been estimated between 500 million and 1.5 billion. All right, I don't know if that's true, but this is today's Wealth Genius. I don't think there's anything in the news so far with David. Hardy Finkelstein and David, yeah, since 2025. So there's not much going on. Looks like he's just taking a humble approach now. He's only has 2,000 followers, president of High Beam. Let's check out High Beam if there's anything with him on it. But sometimes you got to take a step back. When he saw something with DAVIDsTEA and stepped out early, got out the train early. Okay, there he is right there. And that was last in July. So I think they have some offices in Toronto, but this is New York. So he joined a U.S. company, High Beam. Looks like it's an online bank for businesses. I wonder what they're offering that's different from any other bank to see what their competitive edge is. But they look like they're starting up. They're early. But we'll keep it as that for today. Not much happening in David Segal's life, but he's taking a humble approach. 2,000 followers. He's the president of High Beam, which is a US-based business banking platform for businesses. So that doesn't really apply to any wealth geniuses in Canada, unless you have a business in the States. I wonder if they do have Canadian companies. But if you want to know more about High Beam or what's the latest and greatest with David, I'll keep an eye on him, see what he's up to, what are his moves and things like that. But we'll wrap it up. It's a quick one today on Wealth Geniuses. We covered the tariff update, Mark Carney and Trump. They're going toe to toe. And then today's Wealth Genius Spotlight was on the T Maverick, aka David Segal. So Wealth Genius, I think maybe the genius move that he made was jumping out the bus early before as it was taking a nosedive. Looks like they had the vision. I think they just ran before they walked or crawled. I think there was a small business. They had a great idea in terms of teas having a niche market, but I think somewhere down the line with the 240 stores closed, I think they expanded so fast that it kind of hurt them in the end that they weren't prepared for. And then obviously COVID came, and if you have a bunch of brick and mortar stores, there's no business coming in. And if you didn't establish an online presence, like when it comes to tea, especially if there's offering teas like a barista structured tea. People aren't going into stores. There's no sales coming in. You can sell the tea bags maybe, but I think that's what really hurt them. So it looks like David stepped away from brick and mortar type business and is fully online with a digital platform like Hy-Vee, which I think is a great move. I don't know what his cousin's gonna do now. They just lost 1.5 million from what we read. In the latest, I think it was a second quarter earning. So looks like DAVIDsTEA is on the clock. Yeah, they don't. Well, it says Jane Silverstone Segal is the executive chairman, Frank Zitella is COO, and Sarah Segal is CEO. Yeah, it says they've made 41.2 million revenue, but I don't drink it. I'm a Tazo fan myself. I wonder if Tazo's a Canadian. I don't think it is, but if not, we'll find out who's the main player behind that brand. So they're a US brand. Sorry, guys. I wonder if they're going to put tariffs on Tazo tea now. But yeah, I've been a Tazo fan myself. But DAVIDsTEA I've tried once or twice. Nothing really special in my opinion. But it sucks, man. A business that's taking a nosedive and my name is plastered on the branding. I would ask them to change it or something, but I guess maybe get something out of it, royalties or I don't know. But that's it for Well Geniuses. Do like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.